right, here we go.
Yeah, because I'm really overwhelmed.
Here we go. This problem was a lot harder than yesterday's, because yesterday I gave it to you in factored form. Today, you're on your own. You got to start from the very beginning. So the first thing I'm going to check is that you have a list of numbers here, plus or minus what? 12, 6, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now, those can be in any order. They don't have to be in that order. But you do have to have plus or minus. Because some of your answers came out negative. Okay. Now, from that list of numbers, you are going to start guessing and dividing. So what did you guess?
4.
4. So we'll put 4 in the box, and then 1, -2, -11, 12. Oh my gosh, it worked. Awesome. Now, your job was to sketch it, okay? So when you drew your sketch, you put a 4, 0 on it, because 4 worked. Now, did every group in the room guess 4?
No.
Absolutely not. But did you all get 4 as one of your answers eventually?
Yes.
It may not have been the first one you got, but you got it eventually. What we do now, remember, is take the leftover, whatever number you guessed that gave you 0. Whatever was left, you write it down, and remember it's going to be an x squared because this was an x cubed to start with. You write it down and then you factor it. So by doing the 4, this is what I was left with. So I have another dot at -3 and another dot at 1. Now, when I grade your papers, I will see that some of you guessed 4 first. But some of you may have also guessed -3 first, and some of you may have guessed 1 first. When I did it, I guessed 1 first. These are the answers we all should have gotten. Now, it's an x cubed. How do x cubes act? Start down, end up. There is no bouncing in this picture because none of your answers came out twice. They weren't repeated. Nothing was repeated. So that's it. Does anybody have a question about that? How many groups got that right? So on Monday, should you be asked to fly solo on something like that, Jordan says, bring it on. Okay. All right, we're on our note sheets. Page 19. 2.5, yes. This test is 2.1 to 2.5. Mr. Devine, quit spinning. Quit pushing, shoving, touching, entering other people's space. Just calm down. Now, we're on page 19. We're doing 7B. We have this polynomial. And x equals 8 is one of the roots. So kids, it's like the one we just did. Moses said x equals 4. It was the first root that we found. So what did we do? When he said, let's try 4, what did we do? We divided. They're telling me 8 is one of my zeros. 8 is one of my roots. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to plug in 8. I'm going to divide it. I'm going to do my synthetic division and divide it.
What did I say yesterday?
Moses, this is just like yesterday. This is just like the day before. The idea is you want to break your problem down. So you guess a root and you try to get a 0 divided out. This is easier because there's no guessing. They're telling you, use 8. So we're going to divide 8 out. Jake?
I thought you changed 8's like negative 8.
No, but I got a problem. So
Yeah, I didn't see that too. I got the same thing.
No. It's when it says 8 is a root. That means if you were going to graph this thing, you'd have a dotted 8, and wherever you have the dot is what you put in the box. You're getting it confused with if I were writing it as a factor, then it would be x minus 8. But they're telling me, just like Moses guessed 4, they're telling you guess 8. Now, they told me this was a factor, so I knew that was going to happen. So now what do? Just what you did on your quiz. What do? You take what's left and you factor it.
X plus 6.
Now, look at the question. The question didn't say graph it. You could do that, but it didn't say that. It says find the other roots. What are the other roots? X equals what? Negative 6 or 2. One of the roots was 8. We divided it out, factored what was left, and that gave us our other 2 roots. Now, could I have just given you this problem and said find all 3?
Yeah.
Yep, you would have had to guess, right?
Yeah.
So this was just giving you a head start. All right, try C on your own. See if you can do C. Well, no, I know. What you're doing is you are solving, you're finding the values of this polynomial, the value of x, that will make this thing equal 0. So first of all, if you have any desire at all to graph it, which, okay, let's suppose for a minute that describes somebody's profit margin on widgets that they're making. Okay, so it looks like this. Okay, now we are interested in our profit being a positive number. Would you agree with that? So the positives would be here and here. I'm really not interested in this because these are negative x values, and in the real world, we don't have negative x values. So I would say, if I'm this businessman, I need to make it enough widgets. So let's say this was 2 and this was 3. Okay? I need to make, and they're hundreds, so let's say 100, not just 2. I need to make between 0 and 200 widgets, or I need to make more than 800 widgets in order for my profit to be a positive number. Okay? I mean, so that's a real simplistic example, but these equations have real, I mean, people in real life have situations that develop.
I just remember it's like complicated. I'm always just curious.
Yeah, that would be an example. Okay, are we working on C, people? You got it done already?
Yeah.
Austin, you got C done?
Not yet.
Austin, if you're standing down on the football field tonight,
Yeah.
in the game, and you're kind of just staring blankly off into space like you do in math class, you're going to get flattened.
Probably,
Right?
yeah.
By some other player. Who's going to come up and pull you over. Stay alert.
Probably like it's not someone.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing, like you just meant that I'm
There's like
everybody.
All right. I need a volunteer to come up and put this one on the board for us. Who's gonna be my volunteer? All right, Lindsay. Lexi, why do I hear your voice? Sorry. All right, here we go. As soon as we get this one done, we're gonna get out practice test 1 and get rolling. Moses. You know what? They just asked me about you last night. I told him good things. I'm gonna go. All right, here we go. Girls, or not girls, Lindsay got -5 and -2. What do the rest of you think?
Yep.
We all right with that? Okay. Tonight, you have homework in your book. All right? I want to make that clear. The homework tonight is in the book. But what I want to do right now, since we got a little bit of time, is get our practice tests out. And let's kind of glance through those. Practice test 1. I can't remember how I did it last time, but this time I ran off, the answers are all at the back of the packet. So the answers are all for the test are at the back. Right, I don't want to do a ton of this because we want to do some review on Monday for sure. But I do want to get started on this. Part 1. Okay, so everybody has out your practice tests. Part 1. Which of the following are polynomials? If they're not, tell me why they're not. So let's look at the list. Can anybody see anything in that list that's not a polynomial? Which one? B. B is a no because, say it again, Julian, X is in the denominator. Remember, if you are a polynomial, you cannot have an X in the denominator. So B is no, there's an X in the denominator. All right, does anybody else see any no's? Gary?
C.
C is a no because there's an X under the radical. Bless you. Now, please don't say there's a radical. That's not the reason. There's an X under the radical. That's the problem. You can have a number under a radical, but you can't have an X under a radical. If you don't give me the reason, you're going to miss the problem. Make sure you write the reason. Jake.
E.
What's wrong with E?
This is a negative exponent.
Negative exponent. E is a no because there is a negative exponent. So would you say then that A and D are guesses?
Yes.
And you would be right if you did that. Okay, we're going to do one more problem and then we'll be done. We're going to do problem 2A. Tell me what you remember about problem 2A. Lexi.
y2 minus y1 over x.
All right, Lexi says, don't you do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What's that called? Finding your slope. So she says, don't you find your slope? Yes. First, you have to recognize that f of 2 equals 3 and f of 4 equals 9 means what? 2 comma 3 and 4 comma 9?
Yeah.
So then you can find your slope which I got 3. Okay, Mr. Brokaw, do you remember what to do next?
Plug in one of the sets of numbers for X and Y.
And what about plugging it into? You can use point slope if you want, but you can also use y equals mx plus b if you want to. It doesn't matter. You can use either form, y equals mx plus b or point slope, either one. So 3 equals 3 times 2 plus b. I got b is -3. So my answer is y equals 3x minus 3? And did you know you can always check your answer? If you take your other point, the one I didn't use down here, if I put a 4 in for my x, 3 times 4 minus 3, what does that give me? 9, which is what it's supposed to give me, right? So you can always check that if you want. All right, please put that away in a safe place. That is not your homework. Your homework is the finishing up the book problems. So on Monday, we will go over all of your book questions.